always have gone that bad. That was only 50 years ago that song was made. It was, you ready for it?
Yeah.
The Varsity Drag.
What?
The Varsity Drag. The Varsity Drag was a popular song in 1927. It was a Broadway show. So you'd heard it, huh? On Victrolas or what?
Victrolas.
Yeah, they had those up in the land between the lakes or between the rivers, as it was called.
Right.
Okay.
My Blue Heaven was popular then, too.
Right. Well, I have that, too. I should have brought it, right? I knew as soon as I brought one, it'd be one that you'd rather have something else, but that's life.
Well, I sure could have remembered My Blue Heaven.
You could have?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Pete, we'll let you sing a little of that right now.
Oh, how wonderful of you. I've been waiting for this opportunity.
But you're going to pass on it until next time.
Unfortunately, I seem to have a loss of voice all of a sudden.
When you come see me in Michigan, I'll play it and we'll sing along.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Maybe I'll recover my voice by then.
Well, we want to go back now. We showed the pictures, but I have a few questions which went unanswered, which we didn't get into. Pete, why don't we start with you?
Okay.
Tell me your parents' names.
My parents' names, my father's name was Thomas Franklin Beaman, and my mother's name was Ida Jane Beaman.
Okay, were they from this area?
They were from Callaway County, both of them.
Right, okay. And you were born when and named what?
July 30, 1903, and was named William Huey Beaman.
William Huey. W.H. you've gone by.
That's correct.
But somebody tagged you with Pete.
I've always wondered who did that, but anyhow, I certainly got tagged with it, and there's no one in Paducah that knows me by the name of Huey. Everybody calls me Pete.
Right.
There was only one person that I recall that remembered my middle name was Huey, and that was Jack Richardson. He's passed away, but he always called me Huey.
Well. And so you grew up in, was it Callaway County?
Oh, yes.
You lived there how long? Until when?
I was about 12 years of age when my parents moved from Murray, west of Murray, out near Lynn Grove. And I lived there until I was 15 years of age. And nothing would do me, but I must come to Paducah.
Right.
So I came to Paducah when I was about 15 years of age.
Right.
And my parents moved later to Paducah.
Now, you'd gone to school down there before you moved
I
away
had
to
gone to
Paducah?
school in Murray, and then I went to school in the country out there by the name of Galloway School. So those are the two schools that I attended.
Right. You didn't go to school anymore after you got to Paducah, Pete?
Just the School of Hard Knocks, I
Right.
guess.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Now, we all learn there.
My first job in Paducah was with D.E. Wilson Bookstore. I worked there a while, and then I went to the Coca-Cola plant. And worked there a while. I helped operate a foot machine, which was all the machines we had back in those days for bottling Coca-Cola. And the way it operated, you had two spigots, and you would fill the bottles with these spigots. One contained carbonated water and one the syrup.
I see.
First you would put in the syrup and then slip the bottle over and put in the carbonated water. And then you had a foot pedal that you had to stomp to press the top on to cap it. And if one of those bottles had an imperfection or was cracked in any way, it would probably blow up.
Right.
And we had to wear gloves and masks to protect ourselves just in case that happened.
Yeah.
And I have seen them blow up.
Yeah.
And believe me, they would tear you all to pieces.
You don't want to show us your scar or anything?
No, sir.
No, okay.
No, I escaped that, fortunately.
That's good. Now, you worked there for a while, but eventually you changed jobs again, of course, I know.
That's true.
When did you get into your insurance business?
Well, first I went with C.H. Rick & Sons Wholesale Dry Goods House.
I see.
I went with them and worked with them for 14 years. I went with them about 1918, and I went on the road for them in 1922, and then I traveled until 1932, December 31, 1932, and they closed. You remember the times then was pretty rough.
Yes, indeed.
Every bank in the country was closed, and no one had any money, so they just closed up and quit.
Right.
Then I went with Neely Harwood Dry Goods Company in Nashville and traveled for them 5 months. And then in May of 1932, I went with the Metropolitan Insurance Company, May 9, 1932, and worked with them through the years until December 1, 1968. I retired from them, and after 1 year, I went to the Market House Museum as director there and worked there 12 years, retiring from the museum in 1974.
Fantastic. That's great. So you were over 30 years at Metropolitan. That was your major career in your life.
36 years and 4 months.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have some more questions later, but let me get you two tied together here. When did you and where did you meet Golda?
I met Golda at a baseball game one Sunday afternoon in what was known as the old Hooks Park. She was there with a friend of hers, and her friend had a brother who was playing on the ball team.
Uh-huh.
So Golda was accompanying her, and I met her there at the ball game.
Yeah.
And of course, I became quite struck, infatuated, and
I can imagine that. Yeah.
And from then forward until 1928, I made it a special point to see her quite often.
What year was this? Now, how long did you know her before you married?
1927, and we married December 25th, 1928.
Okay, so you were acquainted and dated. Did you call it dating back then?
Oh yes, we called it
16
dating.
months. You were counting, were you? Yeah.
Of course, I was traveling on the road at the time.
Right.
But I was in usually the weekends, and of course we corresponded, all the time.
And by the way, how did you travel in your selling car?
Yes, I had points of that I would go and hire taxis, and I would get a taxi and a driver, and then I would drive out to various points around this central place.
Right.
My central places primarily were in Murray and Mayfield and Jackson, Tennessee, and over in Illinois, around Anna, and various points over there. But I traveled mostly by hired taxi with a driver.
Right. So you were never so far away that you couldn't get home usually for weekends.
No, I was never over about 125 miles away from home. But you must remember that was back in the 20s.
Right.
And if you got 125 miles away from home in an automobile, you was a right smart piece from home.
Right. Yeah.
Because the roads are altogether different.
Yeah. Well, let's ask Aunt Golda. She's sitting here just biting her tongue at all this, I'm sure. Well, you remember seeing Uncle Pete for the first time?
I certainly do.
You remember just like it was yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Well, what did he say or do, or what struck you?
Well, I thought I was in love with the ball player. He played first base, and his sister introduced me to Pete. And while he played ball, I started courting Pete in the grandstand.
Right. Fantastic. So about, you say, 16, 18 months later, you two were married.
That was in September. I met him in September in 1927, and 1928, Christmas Day, we were married. In D.B. Clapp, Dr. D.B. Clapp's home on North 5th Street across from First Baptist Church, and Dr. Clapp was the pastor of the church at that time. We were married at 8:30 Christmas morning and left at 10 o'clock for Memphis, Tennessee in a brand new Chevrolet.
Oh my. That's good. Now I want to go back a little because we kind of left a little gap back in your early years. Okay, we showed the school picture and we showed the 13-year-old picture and that. When you were growing up, your parents. Well, I don't know if we told your parents. You tell us the name of your, if you want to, back to your grandparents too. and your parents, where you were born, when, and then we'll go from there. Okay?
Well, I was born in Lyon County, between the rivers, the poorest county in Kentucky at that time. My father owned a 300-acre farm, and I was the next to the last. There was 11 children in the family. 8 was reared to be grown, and I was next to the baby in the family. Your grandfather, Bailey, was the oldest child in that family.
Right.
My mother was a Timmons. Her father was a school teacher, and his name was William Timmons. He married Nancy Smith at that time at Moulton, Kentucky.
Right. Okay. So you grew up on the farm.
I grew up on the farm.
And I suppose you chopped out a little corn and
No.
did a little farm work,
That's
or as little as you could.
Little as I could. One thing that my father never did, he never wanted his women folks to work in the field, as he said.
Well,
All that we did was help our mother in the home and the garden. We did make the garden.
and babysit maybe a little of that.
Yes. For my nieces and nephews, because I have a nephew that's just 3 weeks younger than me.
And who's that?
That's Garland.
Oh, that's
Garland
right.
Ramage.
Right, right. So you went to school up there. Tell us the name of the schools you went to.
Well, I went to Brandon. We lived on the line, and we could go to Brandon, which was 2 miles, 2 miles from our home.
2 miles of walking.
You're walking, sometimes barefoot. And then Harvard was 2 miles. And so sometimes we'd go to Brandon, sometimes we'd go to Harvard. But I went my first school to Brandon to my brother-in-law, Wiley DePriest.
I see.
When I was 7 years old, I started to school.
Right. What did you like to study the most? Did you like any certain subject to study?
Well, I always liked English, and I liked reading. And of course, Richard, I just was not able to or could have gone to high school, but I didn't. I went all through the 8th grade. I don't know how long I stayed in the 8th grade.
Right.
But I had a lot of familiar, special subjects that I liked.
That you liked, right. Now, you would have had to go to some other school, some other distance away to go to high school, though,
right? I would have had to have gone to Grand Rivers or Edible one.
Right.
And some of my brothers and sisters did. But I decided that I wanted to come to Paducah. My sister lived in Paducah, and I had come down and visited a lot, and I wanted to come to the city.
Well, you heard they had
So
great,
I'm a dropout.
You heard they had great baseball games down there, too.
Oh, yes, I did.
Never know who you're going to meet at the baseball game.
Well, I came in 26, and my parents came soon afterwards.
And who did you stay with down here?
My sister, Maddie DePriest.
Yes, all right. Okay, I got you. So you stayed down there, and that's where you were staying when you met Pete?
No, my mother and father lived here.
Oh, they had moved here by then.
They had moved here. They moved. I came in 26, and they came in 27.
Oh, okay, I've got you. And what did your dad work at while he was down here? He was not yet retired, was he?
He was semi-retired. He worked at Paducah Cooperage some, but just not very much.
Yes. But he'd been a farmer all his life.
He'd been a farmer all his life.
Right.
And a good one.
Right. Okay, now we've got you pretty much up to the time you were married. We know the date that happened. That was 59 years ago now.
That's right.
At least it will be Christmas.
Right.
Right, 59 years ago this coming 1987 Christmas. When you were married, where did you settle down in Paducah, and you think that's going to be a good place to live, and so you agreed on that?
Well, as Pete told you, his mother and father lived here, and they lived at 5th and Kentucky Avenue in the Arm Apartments. That was part of the business of Langstaff Arm. Mr. Arm was in business with the lumber company, and he built this apartment. Had it been his home, and we lived there. He, as he told you, he was on the road all the time,
Right.
from Monday morning till Friday night, and we had a room with the Beamans there in the Arm Apartments.
I've got you. Okay. Now, when the 30s came along, Pete already said that times were pretty lean. Were they a little lean around for both of you after you got married for quite a while? And when did that sort of change?
We have been very fortunate indeed. During the Depression, he made $65 a week when most people were without jobs. And if you made $18 a week, you were really doing well. And Pete's salary was never under $65 a week.
Right.
So we felt very fortunate with a car furnished him and all. So we came through the Depression, I'd say, with great strides.
Right. That's good. That's good. My next question is going to be in regard to something we're going to show some pictures of in a little while. It's going to be your activities as civic and church activities. We're going to show some pictures, but just tell me, what church have you pretty much always gone to the same church, and which one is it, and just a little sketch of how all that fits together, okay?
Well, we are charter members of Baptist Tabernacle Church, and it's 58 years this year.
I see.
And we have been there. Pete was baptized into the church. I was a member of East Baptist, and when we joined the church, it's a outbreak or arm of the First Baptist Church.
Well.
And we joined right away, and that is my first love. My church has been my first love. I've loved young peoples. The Lord didn't see fit to give us children of our own. So I've worked, I felt that I had a calling to work with the youth as well as a minister who was called to preach.
Right.
And it's been the joy of my life to have worked with them all these years. And one of the greatest compliments I had, even though of an old lady, was for the youth to come and ask me last year to come up in their department and work with them. And I said, I can't do that. And they said, why not? And I said, I'm too old. And they said, no, you're not, Ms. Beaman. And so I went up there, and I'm working with the youth now in the church.
Fantastic. Now, picture we have in the collection, I believe, is Pete on the platform. Pete, you remember that picture? You remember the event. It was you and another deacon. Were you a deacon at this?
Yes.
For an extraordinary number of years.
I was ordained in 1943 as a deacon at Baptist Tabernacle Church in Paducah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you have since retired from that, and how long were you involved in that job?
Since 1943 until 1975, and I am now deacon emeritus.
I see. That's great. So you've been very involved and enjoyed your service.
I have
the same church.
Yes, I have worked in various offices in the church, and I taught the youth Sunday school, and then I taught the adult class for a while, about 35 or 40 men in the adult class. And I've held various offices throughout the church.
Good.
And I have found it very rewarding.
Good, good. We also have some pictures we're going to show shortly, including the market house. And I think maybe would be a good time now. Pete, you already told us you were director of the Market House Museum. for, what was it, a dozen years or so?
Yes, from 1971 until 1974.
Why don't you trace a little bit of your involvement in that, and maybe including the big problem that you told me about one time when I was in about the fire?
That was really a mammoth problem of gigantic proportions.
Right.
We experienced a fire on March the 2nd of 1974, and the museum was virtually destroyed by fire and water damage and all that goes with the fire.
Right.
At that time, we thought that we were totally entombed. There would not be any possible way we could ever get the museum restored.
Right.
But, you know, we had a great deal of encouragement from people we would meet on the street. They would say, "Sure sorry about the museum burning. It's just a shame. It's a tragedy. Paducah needs the museum. We should have that. Aren't you going to build it back?" Well, from that, we received incentives, so we went to work to try to get it restored. But you know, a funny thing about some of those people that encouraged about rebuilding the museum, I would say, "Yes, we appreciate the Museum of Paducah. Have you ever been down there?" "No, I've never really been, but I've heard a lot about it, and I know we just got to have it."
Right.
So after being closed a year and 4 months, we were finally able to reopen the museum in June of 1975.
Well, that's great.
And since that time, I'm happy to say it's gone forward very rapidly and is now perhaps the major point of interest in the city of Paducah for tourists.
Right. Now, you were both involved in that, right?
Very much so. Golda went down there in 1961, right after the market house was vacated from the vendors that were in there.
I see.
And
May I interrupt, Richard?
Surely. You don't have to interrupt. Just chime right in.
The museum was my thing, and they were going to tear the market house down, which was a farmer's market, and we asked in a public meeting if they would let us have it, and we were then appointed board by the city called Civic Beautification Board, and I was the chairman, so I took that on as my project.
Right.
We called people from Atlanta office, the Urban Renewal office in Atlanta, and Frankfurt from our state government, and different people to come here and make a survey of what Paducah needed. And this is what they told us. We needed a gallery, we needed a drama place, and we needed to preserve our history. So we took it from there and followed it. I was there 22 years without a penny.
Well.
And I'm telling you, I just think it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to Paducah.
And so you ended up with a gallery in one end, the museum in the center.
Art gallery in one end, and the little theater in the other end, and the museum's in the center section.
Right. That's fantastic. Yeah, it certainly is a showpiece.
Well, it is preserving our history.
Sure.
My main interest is in the museum because we had torn down everything nearly. The market house was built in 1925. That's the third building that had stood on that spot. Right there at that site is where William Clark planted the town in 1827.
I see.
And the market house was used then for all of the legal business was organized and executed from that place.
Right. Good. Now you've enjoyed, we said 59 years of marriage. You celebrated the 50th year, and we're going to show some pictures of that. That was a big event. Now you tell me that you're sort of planning a 60th.
Not as big as we...
Not as big as that,
no.
but looking forward to it.
Right, we are. Well, I am thankful for a good life. We have had an excellent life. I've had a good husband. I've been mixed up in all the civic affairs of Paducah. God didn't give us children, and that was one of the greatest disappointments of my life.
Yes.
And I could not have done the things. He was an insurance man and gone all time, so I had to make a life for myself. So he had his life, I had my life, and then we had our life.
Right.
My church and my community was my life and my family. I loved my family, and I'm proud of all of my family. I'm especially proud of you, Richard.
Well,
I really am.
see me after for a little tip. Okay? I appreciate that. And that makes it a lot easier for me to sum it up. That was going to be a question, which is, are you pleased or happy? Well, no, you answered it without, you get a plus for that. Pete, what do you think? Maybe you can respond to a question that would be sort of related to that. Are you pleased with how things have gone, or would you do something over again different, or just how do you feel about how it's gone?
We can always look back, of course, and say, well, we should have done this or should have done that, or we wish we'd have done this or that. But I think the overall picture, as I look backwards and think about the years of my life, I've been very fortunate to have had a very good wife, a wife that took an interest in the home and took an interest in civic affairs and was quite active in that and in her church. And I would say, generally speaking, I've had a very good life, a very satisfying life, and a very happy life, and I wouldn't really change anything materially.
Fantastic. Now, let me put something out that you may or may not be able to, or even want to respond to. Are you positive, either one or both can answer this, are you positive or negative about what direction America or the state that you're involved in Kentucky, where do you think we're going? Are we heading in the right direction and using your years of experience and knowledge? What do you think? You want to tackle that or not?
Well, I'll speak to that. I don't see I can't understand what's going to happen or see the future of our country unless we raise up some better leaders than we have in government. It seems to me that, and I believe in looking to the future, and I'm not one to live in the past. I know times change, and there's been good changes, but there's been some bad changes. My father always said, and I grew up with this philosophy, a man's word is his bond. And I don't think we have that anymore, Richard. Not altogether.
Right.
Something has got to change in America. Religiously, politically, domestically. We just don't have any statesmen. Now, we have a few ministers. You know what's happened. I don't need to bring that up about what's happening to our religious life in America. It's not what it used to be.
Right.
Our churches, there's a falling away, and sometimes I think with all of the things that we have seen come to pass and the people whom I've known and admired and had so much respect for, I'm sorry to say, there's very few people that I have now that I would want to turn my life or my children's life, if I had children or grandchildren. I just don't know what our young people have to look forward to. Seriously. I think I've said enough on that.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. I mean, I just wanted you to put it in there. Pete, do you want to add anything to that, or is that sufficient for your family?
I would just simply say that I think the morals of our people has disintegrated and are very corrupt and very bad, and our politics have also disintegrated, and our economic and social life is not what it should be. And certainly our government officials, has been proven recently with the Contra affair or the freedom fighters, has shown very clearly that we need more credible people in the White House, and those that at least could recall or remember what they did do, be it good or bad. So I think there are several areas in which we certainly need improvement in our American way of life. Although I will say this, definitely the USA, to me, is the greatest spot on earth to live.
Right. We can say it's not perfect, but we can still admit it's the best.
It's not perfect. It has its flaws and all like that. But after it's all said and done, we have our freedoms and all they do not have anywhere else in the world.
Right. Good.
And we should be grateful and thank the Lord for it.
Right. All right, for this segment, I want to ask you one more question. You may have to think about it for a second. I want you to pick out the brightest single moment of your life. What stands out? You can remember that, and you think of it sometimes, and you say to yourself, that was just the greatest. Is there a single time you can think of that stands out brighter than any other thing in your memory through those years?
I can answer that very quickly.
You can?
I asked Golda if she'd marry me, and she said yes. And boy, I was in the seventh heaven.
Were you down on the traditional one knee and doing that
I think
whole
I was
thing?
on both knees. I'm
both
not
knees,
sure.
huh? Really emphasizing the.
But I had to go in to see her dad, first.
Right.
To find out if he's okay.
Yeah, he said he guessed so, or what?
Well, he said, I guess if that's what you all want to do, it's all right with me. Have you asked your mother? I mean,
her mother.
Her mother?
Yeah.
I said, no. Well, so I let it go at that, and he gave his consent. And
that's fantastic.
So I consider that definitely the highlight of my life.
Right. Good.
And it has proven since then to be true.
Golda, are you thinking?
I'm thinking, and there's been a lot of highlights, but I guess the highlight, the thing that charged me up more than anything, and I'm quite an enthusiastic person about everything I do. I put my whole heart and soul into whatever I do.
Right.
And but I think my 50th wedding anniversary was the highlight of my life.
That's great.
I really think that.
Wow.
My friends came, my family was with me, and we just had, I was so enthusiastic. I'm telling you, I really had a ball.
I think we should have got a tape of that, don't you?
I really do.
Well, I think we're going to finish this segment and go back to some pictures. But while you're still on camera, I just want to say how much we appreciate you coming out here to Randall's and doing this, and how much we just appreciate you and the life that both of you have lived before us. And we really do love you, and you may not have any children of your own, but you sort of have a lot of children of your own, and I think you know what I'm talking about, and we just love you to pieces.
Well, we surely appreciate that, Richard.
Thank you.
And we love our family. We really do. But I just can't tell you how proud we are of our people and our boys who have gone out into the world and find Christian men. That's the greatest thing in the world, is to give your witness as a Christian person.
Right.
You're first a man, but then a good Christian man is something else too. And we do have that. We're not perfect.
Right.
We make our mistakes. But I'll tell you now, I'm proud of all of you.
Fantastic. Thanks. Uncle Pete, you wanted to say something before we close this part?
I just want to say that I'm grateful to you for giving us this opportunity to express our views on various subjects and to relate to some of our family history and members of our family. And we just thank you for it.
Beautiful. Do you have any other favorite story or anything you want to add?
I promised to tell you.
You were going to tell me the story of the fire engine.
Yeah, why fire trucks are red.
Right. I've been waiting for that. I'm ready now.
Well, I'm sure you're not going to be disappointed. It's a fantastic story.
Okay.
They usually have 8 wheels and 4 riders. 8 and 4 makes 12. There are 12 inches in a ruler. Queen Elizabeth was a ruler. The Queen Elizabeth was the greatest ship to sail the 7 seas. The seas have fish, and the fish have fins, and the Finns fought the Russians in a war.
Right.
Russians are called Reds, and fire trucks are always Russian.
What can I say?
Well, that's the reason.
That is the reason. I mean, logic is logic. That's all anybody can say.
No doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
Right,
I don't think anybody would dispute that.
Okay, here we are back again now with some pictures, and we have here on the very day of the wedding a picture of Pete and Golda. I think it's a little blurry. Oh, you guys had a bad camera, didn't you? I wonder who made that picture. You have any idea?
Nettie Ramage,
Well.
Ernie's wife.
Okay, got it done? Yeah. Now we have another picture or two of the same day?
Yes.
The same day.
That was made in front of their home on Farley Place, and she made the picture.
Okay, what year was this again?
1928.
Okay, that is so obviously 20s, isn't it, with those
We were in
hair?
love then.
Oh, it's the truth. Yeah. And here we have one
That's
more.
my wedding dress.
One more. That's the same scene.
See how proud Pete is? He's
Well, of
got his
course
hat
he-
on the side of his head.
Right, right.
That's our Chevrolet behind us there.
Oh, is it? Mm-hmm. What did they call a young blade like that? Was there any name that you know, they're cool in the 60s. Well, what were they in the 20s?
Some Maritics, I reckon.
Oh, me.
All right. Now, this is shortly after. It's a picture of you two. How
That
long
was
after?
about January 1929, right after we married.
Right. Just a few months after the marriage, or weeks even after the
Right.
marriage. You were married on Christmas Day.
That's right.
Whose idea was it to get married on Christmas Day?
Pete's.
Was it? How did you come by that, Pete?
He said, you know, we ought to get married Christmas Day. And I said, well, that's a bad time.
Right.
And he said, no, I'd like to get married Christmas Day. And that was Sunday after Thanksgiving, 1928, and Christmas Day we were married.
Right.
You know, people wondered why in the world we chose that day, because so many people would be, you know, having their families at Christmas
Right.
or would be gone. But after all, it was Christmas Day we were married. So.
When is this made? Is this after you were married, I think?
Shortly after.
Shortly after?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Probably about that.
Good-looking guy, don't you think?
I think so. I have to agree with you on that.
It's 1950.
Okay, now, Pete, this is taken at your house in Paducah?
Yes.
Okay, and there was a marriage took place there, or you came back there for reception or something?
We came back there. We were married in the parsonage of Dr. Clapp on North 5th Street. And
Okay, and who are those people in there, Pete?
that's Golda and I and my sister and her husband and Mr. Luther Jackson.
Okay. We're going to skip a few years now, Pete. We're going to bring you right down to this rocking chair. You remember that picture?
I believe that could have been taken in North Carolina.
Yes, yes. Golda said, we were talking earlier, that was...
Ridgecrest in North Carolina.
Right, right. You're doing a little relaxing there.
Yes, very much so.
That's great. Now, we're going to let you rest a minute. I don't think we did this yet, did we, Don? Who are these people?
That's my niece, Ina Mae Ramage, on the left, and myself. That was made, sometimes in the 30s.
Right.
Two good-looking gals.
Yep, mighty fine.
That was made in the 1930s, Richard.
Right. We've got most of these that are now.
Two couples in our church. We were all great friends. That was made out in McCracken County on the Shin Bridge Road one Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Okay, this picture we wondered where to put it. Well, here it is. It's a sort of family picture. So, Aunt Golda, can you say a little bit about that from memory?
Yes, that was made at my father and mother's 60th anniversary at 133 Farley Place. That's all their children.
Right. And this is your father?
That's right. And my mother.
Your mother there. Okay.
Right.
Good.
6 boys and 2 girls.
All right. Now we finally get to it now. The highlight of the tape has to be the model.
Oh my, that's at Paducah Junior College modeling for Bromley's down in town, Paducah. That was 1967, I believe.
I believe it was dated in the 60s, right? Yeah. Okay. And here's one of you and Pete. Do either of you remember where that happened?
Yes, that's in our kitchen at 214 Cedar Lane, Christmas Day, 1953. That's the first Christmas we spent in our home.
Right. In that picture, you look rather like you do in this one. So tell me if it was about the same time that you went to Hollywood.
Well, not really, but it was made in the 1950s. And when I was younger, I was a pretty good-looking gal.
Yeah, well, I would say so, too. Look at that. That's fantastic.
You know, I agree with that.
Yeah, well, you already committed yourself.
That's right, yeah.
You have to agree.
That's right.
It's a good picture. Okay, now. Okay, how does this, this is about the time of the 50th anniversary?
Right.
Okay.
That is in our living room, 214 Cedar Lane. We thought we might use that for our invitation, but then you saw the one we chose, Richard.
Right. Okay, that's good. Now, this is an exterior view of some of your house?
Right. That's when the azaleas were in bloom in May 1978.
Oh, I see. Okay, now we're into 50th anniversary pictures, Don. Just hang in there with that same focus.
That's Ron and Patricia Henson, Debbie D's daughter, and Pete and I at the reception table.
Right. All these are at the 50th anniversary. So
right.
Focus on these right quick, and if you have something to say, why, jump right in.
Well, the lady who's there serving, she is from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and was our church organist, and we were pleased to have she and her husband come from Tulsa.
Okay. This is the two of you opening gifts.
After we'd had dinner, our family stayed, and we opened our gifts.
Right. There you
That's
are.
Pat, Debbie D's daughter. There we are in the dining room.
And that is the invitation.
That's the invitation. We're inviting the people to come into our home.
Right. Good. Okay, now I want you to tell me what's happening here, because this little baby business is a little strange.
Well, that's our great-great-grandbaby. She's 4 years old now. She is Emily Hoverkamp. And we were visiting her. That was the first time we had seen her. They live here in Paducah, just home from the hospital.
Good.
Debbie D's great-grandbaby.
Right. This is inside the museum that we talked about.
Pete and Don Dodge.
Okay. And another scene from inside the museum, which is during some kind of dedication?
That's when our calendar directory is what makes our money to keep the museum going, and that was calendar day, and our governor from Paducah came. There we are with him, right. Julian Carroll.
Okay.
1967.
Right. Okay, we're going to kind of finish out here now, and we have a picture of the plate, which commemorates the. Well, you tell about it.
All right. It was a souvenir plate that we had done for our 50th anniversary. Our church is 58 years old.
Yes. And
we sold those to the members of the church, was all, to pay for them. We made no money on them. But that's where we have spent our entire church life, right there at 12th and Jefferson, right. In Paducah.
Okay, now tell me again how this is related to the plate. This was a picture made at the time that it was...
A company came around making souvenir plates and also picture albums of the church members, and right. That is us, and Pete was chairman of deacons at that time.
Okay, I got you. As a matter of fact, in this picture, it shows Pete and another
Mr. Crane, our next door neighbor, and they both served as deacons 43 years in the same church, and Mr. Crane's older than Pete, so we were having, when he retired from the deacon board, we were having Charlie Crane, This Is Your Life, and that's Pete talking to him.
Right. Okay, still in the church now. What's happening here?
That is our state mission program, and we had our acting girl to come and speak that evening, and that's me introducing her, and with the choir in the back.
Right, good. Okay, now you know many of the people in this group. This is your group at church, right?
That is the young married people in my Sunday school department.
Right. Okay, we're almost done. Now, we already talked about this. You two have gotten a lot of awards. We're going to show a couple of them, and this is the one.
That is my mental health work.
Right.
And we developed a mental health clinic for the city of Paducah in 5 months' time and gave them the lock and key, led the group to do it. Pete received that award. Yes, he received that award last year for more volunteer hours in service for the RSVP program.
And what does that stand for?
Retired senior citizen.
Okay.
7,000 hours he gave.
Oh, my. Now, is this the most recent picture we have of you, except the videotape we made just a few minutes ago?
Yes, okay. That was made about 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, you've had some pictures made since then.
Well, maybe so, but I don't remember it.
Well.
But that one was made about 10 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Okay, you got anything to sign off with except goodbye?
Not a thing. I think you've been most patient, and we appreciate you and Don doing this for us.
Good.
That's my mother and dad. Did we have that on?
At long last, we finally get it. We put it off, and we finally got it now, I think. That what we have now is the picture of your Mother and father.
That's my mother and father.
And their
That
full
was,
names, give me their full names and her maiden name.
she was Sarah Frances Timmons, married to my father on October the 20th, 1960-something. I can't recall right now. Married to Alfred Lucian Ramage. They were married at Moulton, Kentucky, and drove to Smithland in a Surrey, fringe top Surrey, got there right at sundown, and the band was playing. They had a shivaree. They
Right.
serenaded them, and they struck up the band just as they topped the hill. I'd like to take you to Smithland sometime and show you where he took my mother as a bride.
Right, right. Okay, here we are. Now, I guess as soon as I finish this tape, I'm going to say, I wish I'd asked them, another 100 questions, because I'm sure we could go on a lot longer, but we obviously don't have a lot longer. And so we're going to wrap it up for this edition, just after we call in our sound man, Matt Ramage, and our video